So just as a recap, the video that I just launched, I talked about 4 movies and state management and adopting the attitude toward life that those movies show you in plain sight that will work very efficiently to transform your reality. Now, here's the idea. Everything on the peripheral appears to be looking, oh, it's never been this way before. The world is totally in chaos. Nothing is going to ever work anymore. Draconian, tyrannical, diabolical, recessionary, inflationary. All of this nonsense is just stirring around. But it can't defect God's reflection from the principle of goodness that you are. And the life that is does not have a variant. It doesn't transform into something that never was. Ignorance, lack, disease, struggle, suffering. You don't see the path that God has laid out before you when you're in the carnal 5 sense dream. So the idea here is that when you operate in these keys from the movies that I showed you in plain sight, and I'll recap them, the path becomes visible. It's like you find the hidden pathway in the forest where you were lost. You were walking through the forest, you had no compass, you had no idea where you were going. And then you find the path, and you recognize the path, and you say, you know what? This is the path home. All you're trying to do is get home to the Father. The Father's house is all good. It is everything you're looking for. In my Father's house, there are many mansions. My Father's estate is the fulfillment of every good desire of my heart. Key number 1, movie number 1, I talked about office space. Here's the key. What is the fastest path to my joy in this moment? Ask and answer the question and choose the highest excitement available to you at this time. Just do that thing, regardless of the fallout. The dream of the material world is not there. This is the most courageous and bold step that you have to take. It takes a lot of courage for you to do this, because the world has bound you into reasoning, saying that, well, if you do this, it could be irresponsible, you could lose it. You could lose what little good you do have. See, it's an abusive taskmaster, this world out here. It's saying to you, here's the little good that I've given you, and if you step out of line, I'll even take that away from you, so you better just enjoy what I gave you. It's a horrible, abusive father. It's the father of lies. See, you're living in the house of the father of lies when you're looking to the world out there and taking all of your data and coming to your own conclusions from that false reasoning. What you see is not from human eyes. What you experienced in your so-called past that led you to this point, remember, had no cause. It never happened. You're in a dream. For Christ's sake, literally, wake up. Nobody has any power over you. There is only one power. There is only God. God doesn't have a problem following joy, because what follows God is joy. Everywhere God is, joy is. It is the cause. So join the cause and leave the world and all of its fictional characters and emanations out of it. Stop being who you're not. You're not the descendant of the father of lies. You're the child or the progeny of God. Second movie, we have What About Bob? Bob Wiley, neurotic nutcase, left reasoning human brain. This is the brain that got you caught up in this world and got you bound to all of the good and evil that you see around you. And it's got you calculating for your very own existence, which is a sin. There is no you in existence. There's only God and God's reflection. So as you become more playful, the idea here is playfulness. Playfulness brings flexibility to your approach, and it also makes your world pliable. It also changes the static dynamic of your timeline reality into the parallel dimensional opportunity that you're looking for, that can give you access to multiple kingdoms all in this moment. So step into that reality and step out of the rigid, hard, tense, serious mindset. Seriousness is a mental disease. Don't be serious. Be playful. Be childlike. That's innocence expressed. You get this? So occupy the fastest path to your joy in a childlike state of innocence expressed. Because one with God is a majority, and you're only trying to please God in this entire dream that you're in. Forget about all of the pictures and the people and the conditions and the circumstances. They are not even there. You're being deceived by the father of lies, so step out of it. In the same way that Bob Wiley was convinced that he had to tiptoe around all of these artificial neurotic psychosis conditions that he had, you look at your world in the same way. None of it's there. You think that these people are going to be mad at you if you don't comply to their demands. You think that this is going to happen and that's going to happen and all this stuff. It is your Bob Wiley neurosis. It's not happening. There's only this moment. There is no past. There is no future. There's only your state reflecting and then observing what is or being in what is not. Okay, so let me recap. What is the fastest path to my joy in this moment? Choose the highest excitement. Take that action, because guess what? The world isn't there. The world's a scam. Second thing is playful attitude brings childlike innocence. Third movie, we have The Man Who Knew Too Little. Now, in this, we're talking about be humble enough to recognize that the entire universe is conspiring to give you good. There is only one creation, God's kingdom. That's the only creation that ever existed, and it's always conspiring to give you more good. When you're in obedience to those first two principles, you'll demonstrate this. Because you put no other gods before the one living God. The me inside, capital M-E. The I, the self within. The world is conspiring to bring you good. Fourth movie is Yes Man. Now, in Yes Man, we fully accept this moment as the totality of God's creation, but it doesn't mean we yield to ignorance. It means that we know this moment is the good that God bestowed, and it can be no other, regardless of what the human appearance seems to look like, seems to feel like. Whatever the human story is, we disregard the whole thing. It doesn't mean anything. It's a lie. It comes from a liar from the beginning. There is no human life. There's only God. There is no human life. There's one mind, one consciousness. And that consciousness emanates from within itself and expresses itself to itself as itself. So it's always seeking to expand its goodness through you, as you, and to you, around you. And you shall know these by their fruits. So as you step into these attitudes, I will recap one more time. Time out. I'm your coach. I'm saying time out. Step out of the game. Come over here. Come over in the huddle. Come in here. Stick to the plan. What is the fastest path to my joy in this moment? Remember that? I want you to run that play. I want you to run that play every time. Every moment, every segment of your day. Stop. Pause. Leave them out of it. It's about you and you. There's no one else there. This is a game between you, and your creator is looking for you to reflect joy. Can you do that for me? Yes, great. Now, here's the deal. You got to do it in a playful attitude. You got to be joyful like a child. You got to be innocent, blameless, and to know your blamelessness, because there is no other mind. There's no cause for any evil. There is nothing that you ever committed that puts you outside of God's will, because there is no person outside of God's will, because there is no person. There's only one self, the I presence, God within. Playfulness. The third thing is the world is God's creation, the true Garden of Eden. I have never left heaven. Therefore, all is conspiring to unfold good to me in every moment. More and more good. More and more good. When man thinks he's given, man is receiving. You give from the goodness of your heart. You don't get anything. You can't achieve anything to commit to self-preservation. You can't get things. You give. You are the source of all good. What flows through you sticks to you. That's how you got to play this game. This world is blessing me constantly. There is nothing but the blessing. I never left heaven. True statement. I never left heaven. There's only one I. The impersonal I, the body of Christ, that which you are. You live, move, and have your being in that substance. You are in heaven now. Fourth key is this moment is the totality of all that is. I say yes to this moment, knowing that even if it appears to have discord, there can be no discord. There is no evil, and the good that this world has to offer is no good. There is only God's presence. I say yes to God's presence in this moment. I root myself in God's stillness, in that presence in this moment. I allow for that to be my all-sufficiency. There's nothing for me to get. There's nowhere for me to go. I'm already in the allness of the Christ. It is the Christ in me that hath overcome the world. I rest in that position, and I embrace this life that I am. Complete within myself, capital S, self. You break the power of this dream once and for all. Stay rooted in these keys. This is about as easy as it gets, but it requires you to do one thing that most will never, ever, ever, ever do, which is to be true to the one self within. Not to the 7 billion different personalities that never existed. There are not competing minds. There are no opposing narratives. There's only one self. There was never a world of flesh that you were born into. You don't have a job. You don't work at a career. You don't have a disease. You don't have a lover or a spouse. There's only one divine marriage. You in the Christ, married as the bride. You are the reflection of God's image and likeness, complete within yourself. Unless you leave people, conditions, and qualities of good and evil out of it and take those out of the equation, you can't enter the kingdom. Your mission is to stay rooted in kingdom consciousness all day, every day, by leaving the world out of it. You're in the world, but you're not of it. What do you think that means? Lest you stumble upon a rock and fall, victim to these dreams of terror that never happened. So here's your assignment. Do these attitudes. Work on them. And be courageous enough to put all of your faith in God, not in man. Man will fail you every time, so leave people out of it. All of them. It's you and you. There is no other. The dream is a liar from the beginning. It's a fabrication of truth. It's fiction. It doesn't come with you when you go to heaven, does it? Therefore, it never happened. There's no cause in that empty, dead carcass out there. It's an illusion, it's a liar, it's a deceiver. There's no truth in it, there's no good in it, and there's no evil in existence. I leave people, conditions, and qualities of good and evil out of it. I take all into thought where all is, and I qualify every thought with perfection. I am perfection. I am this perfect day, and the life that lives in me is the light that cannot fail. I am of the pure mind of God. I am invincible to human belief. I am the resurrection and the life in my body, my consciousness, and my world. I am the wealth, the opulence, and the substance already perfected in my world of every constructive thing that I can possibly conceive of or desire. I am the only power, principle, and activity operating in this situation here. I am presence come forth and qualify everything in my world with perfection, and see that these creations of fear are destroyed and that these fears never touch my life or my world again. And when you play with this, now you're getting a glimpse of who you truly are. God is, and outside of God, there is nothing. So where do you think you are, and who do you think you are?